40 minutes is how long it took August to dress himself. To be more precise, 20 minutes is the amount of time he required to put on the shirt, slacks, socks, winter boots, and heavy Carhartt coat. 5 minutes to button said shirt and slacks, zip up his fly, and tie the laces of his boots. The remaining 10 minutes August spent observing himself in the mirror. The clothing Reginald had chosen for him did not suit his taste in the slightest. In less than an hour he'd gone from looking like the disheveled, silk pajama-clad son of a distinguished businessman to someone who believed camouflage overalls was acceptable outerwear for any occasion. Not to mention the material was far heavier than what he deemed comfortable given his situation. At any rate, August exchanged his crutches for the lonely wheelchair sitting by the bedroom door. Its placement, a conscious decision he'd made so as not to become entirely dependent on the damn thing. The wheelchair itself was a gift from his father. Although the family business did not produce medical equipment, the Braden Company did oversee the chair's fabrication and assembly. And with external consultants at his fingertips, August was given free rein to design a chair that would best fit his specific needs. To his father's disappointment, he had kept things rather simple. Aside from the wine-red padded upholstery, courtesy of Rolls-Royce, the chair did not have many luxuries or automated components. When asked why he did not go with a motorized option, he simply shrugged his shoulders, which had further stoked the flames of his father's quiet anger. Truthfully, manually propelling himself from point A to B was one of the few ways he had to keep his strength up. Taking that from him wasn't an option. August rode out into the hallway. Hands rode the wheels stolidly, eyes drawn to his left and right. He gazed upon the faces of Fox's past and present, men who contributed to their family's great legacy in one form or another. In his eyes, the portraits lining the walls captured dignity, strength, and resilience. There was his father, Robert, of course, age 43 and the Braden Company's current board chair. Then there was his grandfather, Allen, born in 1934, aged 84, and retired. His father before him, Marcus B. Fox, born in 1909 and died in 2015, was said to have been a hard-nosed and cruel man. When August met him, he had been a drooling human shell, a phantom fading in and out of existence. He would burst out in fits of perceived delirium, rattling off what sounded like gibberish. "They're snakes. They're all snakes. I made a mistake. I trusted the snake. Forgive me." The man would plead, borderline scream the words, with his yellow eyes bulging in their sockets. How afraid August had been, not due to the outburst itself, but having believed himself to be looking at the future. His future. His mother said they'd never visit the care home again. She told Robert it was too much for August, for her, and they hadn't. The next and final time he saw his great-grandfather, the man was in a box. The youngest framed subject was Eric B. Fox. Depicted wearing his military uniform, the man cut an imposing figure. His mustache and full beard made him look older than his 18 years. Sadly, 18 years is all he got. In the year 1918, he gave his life heroically while serving in World War I. His father, Thomas, who was born in 1880, had become stricken with grief. The loss of Eric had devastated him, and as a result, he drank himself to death. His liver quit on him in 1925. He was pictured with his twin brother, Alexander, as it was said the two were inseparable. Last but not least, for he was the beginning of it all, the architect, Braden Fox. There was no picture, no portrait. Fire had laid claim to those things long before August was a twinkle in his father's eye. A bronze placard immortalized the man's place on the wall. It read, Braden Fox, industrialist, philanthropist, pioneer, 1850 to 1951. Where did August fit in among the greats? How could he, when he had been born wrong? He pondered as he rode the elevator to the first level of the 2-story lodge. He tried to push the destructive thoughts out of his head, tried to focus on meeting the manservant in the kitchen and uncovering his scheme. But they were loud. "Ah, just in time," Reginald said. "Am I?" August said, bringing his wheels to a halt just shy of the kitchen island. The thing was massive, an antique that must have cost a very ancient tree its life. The black granite countertop gleamed. "Indeed you are," the manservant finished capping the lid on a metal thermos. He had spread a cloth across the counter to protect it. "How is the young master finding his accommodations?" "Better than back home, that's for sure," August said, thinking about the yelling, fighting, and how he'd come to be banished. "I mean, I like the castle, but Grandfather's lodge feels more like an actual home." Reginald nodded. "Log homes tend to have that effect on people." "So I see," August said, then changed the subject. "What's all this, then?" He gestured a hand at the spread cloth. On it, an assortment of unexpected things, ranging from a box of Jameson ammunition to a military-grade rucksack, seemingly stuffed to the brim with God knows what. Then there was the knife, looking like it had come directly from the set of Rambo. But what stood out to him most was the freshly oiled 1876 Winchester rifle. His father had never expressed any interest in guns, at least as far as August knew. He hadn't the time. The man was always on the move. He habitually hopped from one meeting to the next, abroad or otherwise, to oversee the Braden Company's operations. His mother, on the other behalf, made her position on guns crystal clear. She detested them and banned all firearms from entering her house under any circumstance. His father did not object, meaning he did not care, so the rule went unchallenged. Therefore the sight of a rifle lying on the counter was rather jarring.